Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. We got the car back from the dyno today. So yesterday we dyno tuned and the car essentially fell flat on its face. It broke on the way to the dyno, it broke on the way back to the shop some more. It's not doing really well. It's all Subaru's fault. It's not my fault, probably. But we got a lot of things to do. I found out that the car is actually configured incorrectly, so that's why we weren't putting down as much power. So I have a laundry list of things to do back from the tuners, and we got other things to fix as well. We have 2 days to fix them before it's back to the dyno to put down some real power numbers. Stay tuned. Where I would like to start is with our electrical problems. The car broke on the way to the dyno because the signal wire coming from the BRZ fuse box just stopped sending a signal completely out of the blue while I was on the road driving. That's very, very random. I did some troubleshooting on the side of the road, couldn't find any reasonable source for the problem. 3 days before that, we lost another electrical functionality in the BRZ. The electric door locks and the key fob sensor just out of the blue stopped working as well. So it's like the car is electrically kind of falling apart with its stock systems. Also, when I went to drive it, the wheel speed sensors aren't working. That's something that should be working. So these things all could be related. They could all be separate. We don't really know what's going on here, but that's what I'm going to try and fix first on this car. That way we can kind of get back to our functionality that we had when we did the first shakedown. So I'm going hunting for stuff. Probably blown fuses, relays, grounded circuits, that type of stuff. Alright guys, progress is happening. Good things are happening. So here's what happened. Sorry that me playing with wires was a little boring, so I made that clip a little shorter. I fixed the signal wire. The signal wire was being blocked by a grounded connection in the main wiring loom. There were some loose wires in there that had been cut and disconnected from a plug. They were touching each other. So I went back, took all those cut wires, taped the tops of them off individually so they can't touch each other anymore, and then taped that loom back up. Put that back together, that's all done. Keyless entry is working now as well, so the car is back to working, except for the keyless entry to work, I had to undo our power steering hack. The power steering hack was blocking communication with my key fob. So that meant no more power door locks, it meant no more car understanding that the key is in the car, it meant a lot of negative things. So what I gotta do now is jump back in there. So I rewired the power steering plug to stock. But I know Kyle, who tipped me off to this, his car has power door locks and all that good stuff, and he has power steering. So there's some sort of configuration that he's doing that I'm not doing that's allowing him to make it work and me not to make it work. So I'm gonna jump back in there and play with all those wires and try and find a configuration where I have power steering and I also have power door locks. Well, that was almost too easy. The solution, if any of you guys want to do this at home, is you cut the white wire and you cut the black wire and you do nothing with them. Don't connect them to themselves or each other or any of that nonsense. Just leave those empty and you will get all the goodness from your key fob, the door locks, the remote entry, all that stuff, and you get power steering. So cheers, that worked out well. Some commenter mentioned that they were worried about me because I hadn't been drinking a beer on the channel in a while, but I'm still at it, so don't worry about me, I'm good. Next up, we got to clean up the wiring, just the stuff from the signal wire. I'm going to go ahead and kind of bundle that back up and put it away. And then it's time to start playing with some boost stuff. I have a very embarrassing announcement to make about the boost and about the lack of power and all that other good stuff. 1 second. That has kicked off quite a mental conundrum for me. I am not a person that cares at all what my engine bay looks like, but how am I going to show people that I have a 2JZ in my BRZ without kind of opening the hood? Which is interesting, because that means that I would need to kind of because we have 3 different colors of red here, that you can't do that. So we got red, a different color of red, and a different color of red, so that wouldn't fly. As well as this battery's got a bunch of crappy logos on it. And my wiring looks like a kindergartner did it, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to think that one over. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. I'm sure you will. About what I should do about that. Should I clean it up and try and make it look cleaner? To me, that's just wasted time. I'd rather be driving it or trying to improve it. I don't know, building better exhaust. Like I'm not interested in that at all. I'm not the guy that shows up to the car meet and pops the hood, but might have to with this car. I don't know. Maybe we don't have to. I mean, I could just say that it's got one in here, and it's not like the most impressive engine swap ever, so maybe that's good enough. Anyways, let's get to the next step. And the next step is turbo related. So when we were on the dyno, we capped out at 10 PSI. Brr, this car's supposed to get much more than that. So why wasn't it working? What's up with the boost controller? Why wasn't that controlling? You don't even need a boost controller to get over 10. So what was going on? Eric's thought was that the boost controller was installed backwards. So as we were turning the boost controller on, it was essentially opening the wastegate earlier and earlier and earlier. My thought, after doing some research, I was online all night last night, is that guy right there that I'm pointing to right here, that looks like a wastegate actuator. But real 2JZ addicts know that it's not. It's not. So what we connected our boost controller up to was not the wastegate. That is the actuator that opens up the second turbos. That's essentially the sequential turbo opener actuator. That goes from one turbo to opens two turbos. So we never even got into second turbo land. We were dynoing, pushing the shit out of one turbo, which is not good for the turbo. What is that? Oh, some wiring. Not good for the turbo at all. So sorry, turbo. I think it's turbo 1's that one. But we need to get turbo 2 online. So what I got to do is I have an option. I could switch to a manual boost controller, which is a lot easier to tune for me because I'm going to get this car on the street in a couple minutes and try and mess with it. Or I could try and learn with the electronic boost controller, the AEM True Boost. I should learn how to program it. Could learn how to program it. I should learn how to program it. So here's what I'm thinking. We need to fix that situation so we have our sequential turbos working, and then I need to learn about that situation. Let's do the hard part. No, the easy part with the hardware first. So I'm going to go ahead and modify some piping here. Just learned a thing or two about how to install a boost controller on one of these bad boys, but yeah, you ain't gonna be able to see none of that. But the wastegate is actually right here, and what you want to do is you want to get in between the wastegate, since it's a twin turbo with all this crazy sequential nonsense, it's got two inputs, and you want to get in between the turbo outlet pressure and the wastegate. Then you block off the bottom of the wastegate and you block off the solenoid for the sequential system. So you block those two things off. So basically the bottom of that wastegate is doing nothing. The top is going to your boost controller and the turbo pressure is going to your boost controller, which is, wait, not my boost controller. My boost controller is solenoid, which is right there. So that's all installed. Now, the boost controller is right here. The brains of the system, the computer, the whatnot, is all right there. And I got to learn how to program that. Now, I'm a smart guy. I have a computer science background. I have a doctorate in engineering that I bought on the internet. So I think I can figure out how to do this. Let's give it a shot. Well, that wasn't really that hard, as long as I did what I thought I did last time when we did it incorrectly. So, Yeah, it wasn't that hard, but I don't know if I did it right. And we're not gonna know if we did it right until we get the car on the street, which is a thing for tomorrow morning. So what we're expecting tomorrow is the second turbo to come online. So when we were dyno testing and everything like that, we never had that second turbo actually open up. We had the actuator for the second turbo wired to the wrong thing, so it never got enough pressure to bust that guy open and give us that boost from it. So now it should all be wired up and it should be ready to roll. We should hear a louder exhaust tone when we get past 7 pounds of boost, and it should open up and it should fire away, and we should get well over 10 pounds of boost, which is what we got on the dyno yesterday. So that's the plan. Tomorrow morning we hit the streets. What's up, everybody? We're back. We're in the car, ready to test out this sequential turbo, make sure it's opening up, and the boost gauge. So what we're looking for, hopefully, is we're gonna hear that second turbo come online, I hope, and then we'll see how we do on the boost gauge. I got a camera pointing directly at the boost gauge. Hopefully you can see the readings. And we are on a freeway, so I'm gonna give me some space between myself and the car in front of me, and then we'll give it a go. All right, I got the car out into basically the middle of nowhere, so you know, it's out in countryside, so it's unfortunate if we go off the road, it's going to be terrible. But hopefully that won't happen. So let's test out some of these boost levels. Hit 12 there, and I think we got wheel spin. It's really tough to tell what's going on. All right, I'm going to do a 0 to 60 pull and try and keep the throttle a little bit more linear. Okay, so we got the 13 and 14 there. It sounds like that screaming sound that I was thinking was tire spin is most likely when that second turbo is coming online. So it might be coming online a little bit late. And then it's going for it. I really want to review the footage and see what boost levels we're actually hitting if we're over boosting. This is really hard to road tune right now, but I can safely say that we changed something for the good, because when we were on the dyno the last time, we never made it over 10 pounds, and I for sure just saw we got to 14. So that's good. I'm gonna wait for another clear straightaway and just keep doing a couple pulls, and we'll see how we do. All right, back at the shop. What I'm going to do is I got my computer here, and I took the footage off of that GoPro that's pointing at the gauge pod. I'm going to load that into my computer, play it back at slow motion, and check our boost levels and our air-fuel ratios at those boost levels, make sure we're all good and safe. All right, well, the footage revealed really good news. So the highest boost pressure that we hit was 16 PSI. I was not able to get into it at the top end. So I think that it will go more on that boost controller setting. Remember, how high we hit on the PSI is just really about where we stick the boost controllers. These turbos can go over 20, but they'll blow up. They're safe at 17. So we got to 16, awesome. Sequential turbo system is now working, awesome. Boost controllers programmed well, awesome. So that's all good. Now it's time for another round of modifications to the car and testing. And I'll tell you about that right now. All right, the next thing we gotta do, I already did, because when I filmed what I was about to do, I had the microphone off. So let me explain it, and then you'll see it be done. What we wanted to do was eliminate the stock blow-off valve to test what is needed and what's not needed on the sequential turbo system, because I'm trying to get rid of this Y pipe and go back to the other Y pipe, because this one and this air filter, too tall. They're blocking the hood clearance. So what I've done is I've went ahead and eliminated the stock blow-off valve, capped that end off, capped that end off, capped that vacuum line off, and left this one right here because I know this one's needed for the sequential. So now, it's time to go drive. All right, I think we're ready. Yeah, green light ahead. All right, here we go. All right, that still works. Back to the shop and start tuning on that Y pipe. Good news, we were able to verify that we're removing the stock blow-off valve. As long as we plug these two things, no problem. So that means that the new Y pipe, the aftermarket Y pipe, just needs one outlet port for the high pressure line that goes to the sequential turbo sensors and all the different valves that open up that second turbo. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. What we're going to do first is we're going to remove the stock Y pipe. Then we're going to test fit the aftermarket one, kind of see where that lands and where we want to drill and weld in our aluminum hose to come out of that to send the high pressure line signal. Well, if it looked like I was struggling, that's exactly what was going on and has been going on for a while now. Here's the problem. The hood, when I shut the hood, it hits on this piece of the stock Y pipe. When I go with the aftermarket Y pipe that's shorter, there's nothing for it to hit on, but then I'm having a lot of trouble snaking the pipe through here, connecting up to the Y pipe cleanly, snaking the pipe through here and getting back down to the intercooler without really pissing off the headlight. And what's the other issue? Oh, then the other issue is when I do that, there's basically no room to put, because then we're snaking down way sooner and cutting out. There's no room to put the air filter. So I've been in a real tough spot. What I'd like to try now is, so we're either going to use this modified to allow the hood to shut, or we're not going to use this at all. So I'd like to come in here, I'm going to take the cutoff blade, I'm going to cut this thing off and see if I can cut it cleanly, get a nice clean hole in there, and then weld a block off plate and weld this up so it's completely closed up over here. That's the highest part of the thing, so once I take that off, then the hood will close and we can go back to our previous configuration. So I figured give it a try, because if not, this part's just going in the bin anyways. Then again, the last time I cut a part up because I didn't care about it, it ended up costing me an extra $300. Let's see how this goes though. That was really hard to get done. This piece is extremely hot. I believe it's airtight. I can't honestly tell you 100% truthfully that it is, but I'm pretty sure it is. And yeah, so I'm gonna give that a second to cool off. While it's cooling off, I got the radiator test kit. It looked like we're having an issue with the radiator still. So what this does is this will pull vacuum on it and we can watch it and make sure that it's, it's holding where it's supposed to be, and also help us get any air bubbles out if there are any. Okay, the part has cooled down significantly, so you can see that I was having a lot of trouble. Did all right around this side, and then this side it got kind of messy. This was a very, very hard piece of aluminum to weld. Everything kind of got like corroded looking and stuff like that. But I do believe it's airtight. I'll give it a couple small tests, and then it's time to install it on the car and give it the real test. All right, I got everything buttoned back up. It looks good. Let's take it for a test drive and make sure everything's still functioning correctly. All right, and we are off. Fingers crossed for lots of boost. Here we go. Got it. That was some serious wheel spin. I know it was wheel spin that time because the car got sideways. I've said I thought I had wheel spin many times before, but I most likely didn't. But that time, I was in the lower gear, and when that next one hit, we stepped out a bit. All right, back to the shop. We got to pack up our stuff, head home. Tomorrow morning, it's back to PRE for more dyno test and tune. We just made it to PRE. Car's running great. Everything's good, so it's time to go check in and get everything sorted out. All right, we're all checked in, the car is dropped off. This is different than the last time because they're so busy and they did me a huge favor to just squeeze us in the schedule that we actually had to drop off the car, and Chelsea and I are off to do something else. So the car is in their hands now. It's crazy that I really do expect it to hit those numbers that we're expecting, but I'm not gonna be there to see it. But they said they might try and film a video for us, so if there is a video and it does exist, it'll be right here. And if not, yeah, I don't know. So that's it. Next time you see me, I'm gonna be picking up the car. Let's do that. All right, here we are, back inside the car, back at PRE. I just picked up my car to a little bit of bad news. Let me get it home and I'll explain what's going on. All right, guys, we're back at the shop. Car is not doing well. I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna try and consolidate it as much as I can. Car didn't make boost when it made it to the dyno, didn't even make the same amount of boost that we were seeing on the street. That's bad. Car also seemed to have some sort of a throttle cut issue on the dyno that I can't recreate on the street right now. And we don't know what that is, but it didn't throw a code in the computer, so not really sure what that could even possibly be. The throttle body is electronically controlled, and there's things like traction control and cruise control, but I doubt either of those are ever going to work on this car again, so I don't know how that happened. Also, the transmission was a quart low when it was on the dyno. And after I got it back from the shop, it sounds like hell. So it could be the exhaust rattling around on the transmission. It could be the transmission is toast. It could be the drive line's loose. It could be a number of things. I won't know until I get under the car. So today's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. Monday I can start ordering parts for fixing problems. And here's my game plan. I'm going to invest the rest of today trying to fiddle with the turbos and get more boost out of them, and verifying what the heck went on underneath the car and where that noise is coming from and what's going on. And by the end of today, I will make my decision and let you guys know on what's going to go on. I do have a decent line on getting a really good quality used Garrett turbo, and I could take the car into single turbo mode, which I know then I could get the boost and we don't have to worry about any more of this twin stuff. I'm going in that direction in the long run anyways. So rather than investing more money at the tuners or you know, other things like that, I can spend all my personal time on it that I want, but it's very hard to test without a dyno. Dyno time is very expensive, so you start to have a lot of diminishing returns. If we spent 10 hours, if we spent 10 hours working on these turbos, we could have bought this whole entire single turbo system and installed it by that time. So that would be a real big waste. So we can't do that. So I'm investing the rest of today in troubleshooting, playing around with the turbos, boost controller, figuring out what that noise is under the car, and beating the shit out of this car until it either works or it breaks, because then we're just going to replace whatever doesn't work. Normally I don't do that, but I need a reliable car out of this. I need a reliable build out of this. So it's time to just put some pressure to it. If the transmission is making all these weird noises, I'm just going to hammer the hell out of it and we'll see what happens on the street. So you guys have seen me do enough of this fiddling with these different things and different stuff like that. I don't want to tell you every little thing I'm doing and, you know, guess, check, see, doesn't work, works, whatever. I'm going to throw this in a time lapse. You guys sit back, relax, enjoy the music, and it's all going to go really fast, and I'll let you know how the night ends. All right, well, this day went from bad to good. The transmission noise that I was so worried about, it ended up, I got into there, I inspected everything, everything looked just fine. It ended up being that the exhaust is just clanging against the transmission mount. And before it was really, really like pressed up against there, had a lot of tension, but probably now after I've been driving the car for a little bit, and it's like working its way in, it's getting a little bit loose, and it's rattling on there. So I stuck a chamois rag in between the exhaust and the transmission mount, which hopefully won't catch on fire anytime soon. And the noise completely went away. I drove it around and I was fine. While I was out driving around, I went to go for a power pull, and then the car completely cut out. And I was getting what it sounded like the tuner was talking about. So I started inspecting the throttle, and I started inspecting other things. It got worse and worse and worse as I was coming home. So I got it back, checked the throttle, checked other things like that. Could not figure out what was going on. So I went down to the basics: air, fuel, spark. And checked the spark plugs, they looked good. Air, there was no reason it wouldn't be getting any air, and then I found out I wasn't getting any fuel at all. So I pulled the fuel pump out, found out there's no fuel left in the car whatsoever. So the fuel gauge was broken. It worked for a little bit and then it broke. What happened is one of the little hoses on the Venturi thing got out of line, and that blocked the little raisy, lowery, flappy dealy. And it was broken. I fixed it temporarily, and then I went and drove it, and it broke itself again. But I filled the car up with fuel. Then I took it out for the last drive of the night. I had adjusted the boost controller before I took it out, laid into it. I got all the way up to 20 pounds of boost. So what does this tell us? The turbos are able to boost enough. I tried to get, so the thing that I can't do is I can't drive down these city streets and warp speed with 20 pounds or 17 pounds or 18 pounds of boost. It's too much power. I'll get going way too fast to be even reasonably safe. So I can't tell if I'm getting a good linear like boost curve that's hanging in there. That's what we have to use the dyno for. But hit 20 pounds multiple times, multiple different pulls on the streets. We're good there. I obviously need to turn it down a little bit, but I was just like, hey, let's see what happens. So hit boost, transmission's okay, car's configured correctly. That's the end of this episode. I think the next thing that I want to do before I call this a win is get it back on that dyno one more time. I'll have to call PRE and see what I can arrange ASAP. That being said, big thanks to PRE for supporting me, having my car out there, and helping me go through this. I'm sorry I brought it down with apparently not enough gas. I really think that was the problem. Link to their shop is in the description. Guys, check it out. Other than that, if you like BS for Build, you want to help out and support, head over to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, pick yourself up a hat or a key tag or something else like that. All the proceeds of that go directly towards supporting these builds. BS for Broke decals are fitting. What else? That's it. Find us on social media. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a very weird episode. It spanned multiple days. I went to different cities and did different things, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I couldn't be any happier right now. Well, I would have been happier if it just did what it was supposed to do on the dyno and it was like full of gasoline, but other than that, I couldn't be happier. Car's doing great. All right, see you guys in the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe. Peace! Come on!